Hello, this is my presentation on my publication, Modern Renaissance. Today, we'll be kind of walking through my design goals, as well as some of my favorite aspects of working on this project. So the primary goal that I wanted to relay is the idea of less is more, and my objective of trying to achieve elegance and visual interest while keeping graphical elements and the spreads relatively simple. Um, the articles that I had chosen to include into the publication were very text heavy, so it became a challenge to try to balance that on the page with enough white space and other areas of defocus. So because my publication was very text heavy, the first place that I went to kind of create visual interest was through my typography. And I thought that Ditto, my title typeface, as well as typeface for headers, was a really clear example of what I wanted to achieve through the publication, which was the idea of taking the classical arts, visual and performing, and showcasing the ways in which we have modernized these spheres and communities, which is sort of what a humanist sans serif does, or humanist serif does. And I felt like it was paired very well with a readable serif font, such as Utopia. And then the Leto hairline was just to kind of help round out and kind of connect between Ditto and Utopia. This is an example of how it all kind of comes together on the page. As you can see, Ditto really catches your attention, and the serifs themselves and the line work is very geometric and very overall pleasing to look at on the page. And I wanted to showcase that as a typographical element of interest. Lato kind of helps bring it down by reducing the amount of serifs on the page, but also keeping that kind of geometric line work that Ditto is famous for. And then Utopia allows the users to read the article as if it was in a standard magazine, newspaper format. So something comfortable and familiar to readers. Next is layout design, where I wanted to kind of create interesting, unique shapes to the page in which users can have a fun time following the flow as their eye kind of scans across the page. The most important part of this, obviously, is to balance between content and white space. And so using that in interesting ways, I was able to kind of create some interesting shapes. I also wanted to use the two-page spread to my advantage. So most, if not all, articles and content blocks are paired into pages. This is one example of, I think, a good use of kind of grid. I really like this page because almost everything on here has a pair vertically or horizontally. So although it looks kind of random, there is a sense of order that is easy to follow and understand. And I just overall like the balance here of text to white space that the article was able to serve. And overall, I think it is very exemplary of the work in this publication. And then last, as a kind of a note to touch on, the graphical elements in this publication I kept to a minimum. And they only served to kind of create balance or structure in terms of the shapes and the visual kind of flow on each spread. Some areas on the spreads needed more balancing in terms of text or imagery and white space. And so lines and very simple graphical elements kind of helped round that out to create visual support and balancing. And this was to limit myself mostly as a creator to try and create a strong sense of theme through just type and layout. I think my ballet black spread is a pretty good example of this being put into practice. As you can see, the line work extending from the B in ballet in the title, as well as that line running down the right-hand side, kind of helps segment and section off the spread into kind of halves, as you can see. It helps to frame each block a little bit easier so that the reader doesn't focus on what would have been white space otherwise. So with that, that is my presentation. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.